As someone who loves physical media, we're entering some dark times. Microsoft just had their event and they showed off a lot of cool games. And one of the games they showed off was The Outer Worlds. That is a game that I loved. I love the first game, and now they're putting out a sequel. It looks amazing, and it is something that I want to play. Now they're asking for $80. That's a lot for me. But honestly, I think a game like The Outer Worlds could be something I could see myself paying that much for, only because that game has so much content and there's so much replay value. The issue that I'm having is when it comes to the physical release. On the physical box, for whatever reason, first of all, on the Xbox, there really is no physical release. It's just a code. And on PS5, there is a physical release, but it says that the internet is required. Now, this is interesting because the internet being required is a lot different than saying a download is required. If a download is required, that normally indicates that the disc version does not contain all the data on the disc. That in itself would have been a problem that could be solved with having two discs like Rockstar did with Red Dead Redemption 2, if that's the case. But knowing Microsoft, they weren't going to do that anyway. Now, when it says internet is required on the box art, that typically means that this game basically requires the internet, even though it's a single player game, which is ridiculous on any front. I know so many people say, well, you have the internet or you're using the internet, so why does it matter? I think people who are so used to the internet are kind of ignorant to what they're saying sometimes, and that's not me being disrespectful. There is nothing in life that you should ever say to yourself, just because I already have something, that gives people the right or it's okay for them to make it an inclusion in something that it has nothing to do with. So, for example, let's just say you have a car and your car needs gas to run, it needs oil, you need tires, you need all the working components. But let's say the car company, whatever car brand it is, said your car also needs to be connected to the internet to drive. Cars don't need the internet to drive, and a single player game doesn't need the internet to work. A multiplayer game does, and any game that's multiplayer based, I don't have a problem with that. Or MMO, which is multiplayer based, I have a problem with that. But a game that's completely single player does not require the internet. Outer Worlds, I think they're just trying to get data from you. I don't think they're trying to sell you something. And this is the reason why. I looked on the PlayStation Store, the digital store, and it mentions nothing about it requiring the internet. Matter of fact, it says it's offline play only. So why does the PlayStation 5 box say that it requires the internet? Now I'm hoping best case scenario that this was a mistake and they'll come out and remove it, but I don't think it is. So I did research because Microsoft isn't explaining why it requires the internet. They're not even speaking on it. So I went all over the internet and I did find this on BattleNet. If you buy Outer Worlds on the PC through BattleNet, it says that the internet is required, BattleNet is required, and the app is required. And you might say, well, maybe that's just how BattleNet works. No. If you go to Diablo 1, which is an old PC game that existed before I don't know any game outside of an MMO or a multiplayer game that required you to have the internet. Single player games did not do that at the time. If they did, it was rare. This game doesn't mention that at all. It tells you everything you need and the internet is not required. So that means that BattleNet, its connection to BattleNet, is making this single player game require the internet. This is something they did with Diablo. This is one of the reasons why Diablo 3 is something that I did not buy on PC, but I bought on console because the console versions didn't require the internet. Diablo 2 remake I never bought because that requires the internet, and I'm a single player gamer. I don't want to have to be connected to the internet when I don't need to be, because anything can happen. I could be playing a single player game and my power's on, but my internet gets knocked out or it lags or whatever the case may be. And it's just an unnecessary hurdle to go around. And I don't think that that's cool to add in a single player game like the Outer Worlds. But there's a bigger issue here. And this is what we're talking about: game preservation. We're talking about taking away the customer's ability to make decisions, because not only are they charging $80 for this game, but now you need the internet and you need to be on all the time. And you need to have a stable connection. There are plenty of people in the world that don't have stable internet, and it's unnecessary for a single player game. Not only that, going back to game preservation, Microsoft has been going out bad in my eyes. They sold an Xbox Series X, a console I have yet to buy yet. I don't even know if I ever will going forward, but that system has a disk drive, and yet Microsoft is the biggest developer slash publisher on the platform, and they're rarely ever releasing physical games. If they do, there's nothing on the disc, or it's a code in a box, which is not a physical game outside of the physical case. It actually just dawned on me. I think I know why Microsoft is doing these online requirements, or they're just doing codes in a box. It's to push play anywhere. which used to be an option before. So before it would be like a benefit if you bought digital, then basically you would have the option to play that on your PC and your Xbox. But now, if you want to buy physical, well, you really can't unless you just you consider a plastic box physical. You're going to get a code in the box. Or with Tony Hawk, like I showed you, it seems to be a disc. How much of the data is on the disc, I don't know, but it says a download is required. It says it even on PS5, but then it says for online play. But then on the PS4 version, it says internet required. I don't know what that is. I think that has more to do with signing in to maybe BattleNet, or Microsoft has some type of thing where you have to get through their servers first and log in, and then you could play offline. Now, how long can you play offline? Is it a one-time thing? I don't particularly care. I think it's bad all around. It is a lot better than requiring a constant internet connection, but I still don't like the idea of this, because who's to say what happens when the server decides, hey, you didn't register something, or you didn't do whatever they think you should have done, and now you are locked out of your single player game. Some people out there will have to test it. I'm not buying these games until they are like dirt cheap, because I just don't want to deal with the headache of it. I don't mind if a game I spent 20 bucks on just doesn't work anymore. Even if I really like that game, I can just chuck it up till it was only $20. But if I'm paying $80 for The Outer Worlds 2, and this really sucks because I really like this game, I really want to play it, but this online requirement, which funny enough, I don't see this on the Xbox. The Xbox box art does not say it there. It just says it's a download code. I guess it's implied because it's a code, but I really don't like this, and I think it's just Microsoft trying to get data from us and trying to track and see where everybody is at one time, because they sell our data off, and this is how they're going to do it, through logging in. Matter of fact, they did this similar thing with certain versions of like the old Dooms that got re-released in Quake. I think the Switch version was the only version that didn't require a login to BattleNet, and all the other versions you had to do that first, and then you could play the game offline. This is a bad practice. I don't like what Microsoft's doing. It's horrible. Ninja Gaiden 4 doesn't say it requires the internet on the PS5 version, but on the Xbox version, there is no game. It's just a code in the box. Now, will the PS5 version be the full game on the disc? We don't know, because it's published by Microsoft. That means they're handling it being printed and everything. Now, Koei Tecmo typically puts their games all on disc, so maybe they've told Microsoft to do it for PS5 and no one else. But just being an Xbox fan, I would think the Xbox consumer that bought a Series X that does like physical media is probably feeling slighted right now. I know Microsoft is trying to push Game Pass, which is digital. So maybe Microsoft is figuring, hey, we got Game Pass we're trying to push. We get more money off of digital sales. Not only that, they're pushing out this brand new tablet, handheld gaming system to compete with the Switch, and that is also digital based. Maybe Microsoft is just trying to push digital so much to the point, and I know they are, because they're bringing back DRM from the past. Remember the original Xbox One? This was a time in history where gamers, it didn't matter what system you were on, even PC gamers got involved and said this was wrong, that Microsoft was putting DRM on the Xbox, making their physical media be basically keys. And although that does happen on PS5 rarely, it is basically the norm on Xbox, and to the point that it was such a confusing time that even when Microsoft reversed it on the Xbox One, do you know how many people that I know that still don't know the original Xbox One installed games off the disc? Like the full data was on most Xbox One discs. So much so that this translates over to PlayStation. There are a lot of PlayStation gamers that think because you're installing the game off the disc and it says download, they think it's downloading from the internet and there's nothing on that disc. And they think when people like me buy physical media, they're like, why even bother? Just buy it digitally. It's just downloading anyway, not realizing the difference is I have all the data on my disc. As long as my disc work and my disc drive work, I don't need ever to use the internet ever again when it comes to installing this game, unless I need a patch. And most games work without a patch. Now let's go over to another system, the Switch 2. I just got a Switch 2. I'm loving the Switch 2. And currently the only physical game I have for is Cyberpunk. I don't have Mario Kart physically because mine came with Mario Kart. And I just don't think that game was worth $80. That's the reason I didn't buy the physical version. I'd rather get the game for $50. That's why I went digital. But even with Switch 2, physical media is in a bad state. Now, Nintendo cares about physical media, and Nintendo seems to be the one that they're going to still put out physical media, and third party will be case by case basis. There's another game, Room Factory. That game is interesting on the Switch 2, and I'm going to buy that for Switch 2 because it's a physical release. I'm going to support the physical releases on Switch 2 because I believe in physical media. And even if you don't, I don't see why people who don't and like digital think that it's cool to like say that it doesn't matter. Why would you not want everyone who wants gaming the way they want gaming to exist. Me liking physical doesn't take away from your digital, and you liking digital doesn't take away from my physical. So I don't even know why people argue with people who try to fight for physical media, because all it is another option. Because trust me, there's going to come a time where you're going to experience a situation where you can't access your digital library. But someone like me who has a physical library can always pop my disc in. Now, of course, my disk drive can break, but those can be fixed. My disc can crack. Now, you can't really fix that, but you can go buy another disc if they're still available. I just like the ability to have options, and I don't think trying to ridicule people for their options is a healthy thing. This whole situation just sucks, especially with Microsoft and Nintendo. PlayStation, thankfully, and I hope they keep this going forward, PlayStation has been good with keeping physical media going, physical media alive. And to give Nintendo a little bit of a break, I don't think Nintendo as a corporation really wants to get rid of physical media. I just think that the circumstances of the Switch 2 and them not coming up with a good workaround when it comes to the carts is why we're in the situation with that system. Because the game key cards are essentially just downloads. That doesn't even have anything on the cartridge. It is literally just a key that directs you to the store, downloads the game, and then the key is needed to run the game. And a lot of people think that's how physical games work on all platforms, but it doesn't. Like I said already, I have plenty of PS5, PS4 games. You put the disc in, it installs the game off the disc. And yes, you need the disc in so that you can play the game, but all the data is in my possession. It's not in the possession of an online storefront. And at any moment, a game can go away. Like, I hope, because Microsoft is involved now with Tony Hawk, is the Tony Hawk game going to be Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3+4? Is that going to be a physical game or not? That's going to be ridiculous, is it? If it isn't. On Switch 2, we already know it's a game in the box. It's a code in the box, rather, excuse me. Will it be a full game on the disc on the PS5 and Xbox? We have yet to hear word if it will or will not. We'll have to just wait and see. It's a scary time, man, because I'm going to tell you again, it's funny. A game just recently got announced. A brand new Scott Pilgrim game got announced. And for those of you that do not know, Scott Pilgrim was a very good game on the Xbox 360 and PS3 arcade. It was a very fun game. People loved it. But because of licensing issues, they had to remove it from the store. Now, if you owned it digitally already, you could re-download it and play it as much as you want. But for anyone who just didn't own it, they could never buy it until they re-released it years later. They're making a new one now, and it's cool. And you can now buy the old one. You know, it's readily available digitally, and you can even find physical copies out there. But people rush to buy physical copies of that game. You know why? Because they experienced the downfall of digital media. They could not buy that game anymore. But if you have a physical copy, once the physical copy released, as long as your physical copy works and your system can read the physical media, there's nothing, they can never take it away. They can never take things away due to licensing. They can never restrict the game from you. Now, when it comes to PC gaming, that's a little bit different. There is basically no physical media left on PC. But the only thing about PC is that there's so many smart people on PC that know how to hack and crack games and get around things and make games run without the internet all the time, that on PC, yes, you need the internet initially to download the game, but once you have it on a hard drive or something, as long as your hard drive don't get destroyed or corrupted, you'll have that game forever. But even on PC, I go to GOG. That is a DRM-free website where you can download games. And guess what? When you buy DRM-free games, they give you the entire game file, which means I could literally buy a game once and pass a friend the file to that game, and they can have the full game too. I don't know if that's legal, but you can do that. You can do that with DRM-free games. That's why they don't want DRM-free games. They want games to be at least tied to a storefront like Steam or whatever. But anybody that sells a DRM-free game, you can literally just pass someone the entire files of the game and it'll just run. Like, it'll work. It'll play fine. They probably can't update it, but even then, they could probably find an update somewhere on the internet and it will work. It's just disappointing, man. The future of gaming is looking good when it comes to games themselves. Yes, games are going up in price, but let me just inform you, you can wait on a sale for that. I'm not even tripping on Outer Worlds $80 price tag. If people don't buy it for $80, trust me, it will go on sale in a hot flash. It ain't nothing for it to drop in price. But the Always Online just killed the hype for me, because that is a game I'm looking forward to. I do not want games to go this direction, especially single player games. When it comes to the physical stuff, it sucks that I'm looking at a ton of games on Switch 2 that I would like to buy, but in the back of my head, I'm like, I want Yakuza 0 because I have the original on PS4 and it was fun. This has new content and new added story, and I want to experience it on the Switch 2, be able to play it portably. But guess what? Why would I buy it for $50 now when it's a digital game in my eyes. I could buy the key card, but that's useless to me. When I'm pretty sure in a few months it'll be announced to PS5, and sure, I can't play it portably, but at least I can have the game physically on the disc. Because 9 times out of 10, Yakuza games do come on disc. Let's say you're an Xbox player and you want Ninja Gaiden 4, but you like physical media. You don't even have an option to buy it on Xbox. Wouldn't you at least like to have the option to buy it? So if you want a physical copy, if the PS5 version is even a real physical copy, you have to go buy a PS5 or play it on your PS5. What if you wanted to play it on Xbox? What if you wanted a physical media? What if you wanted to actually use the disk drive that came with your Xbox Series X? That's a part of the price. You pay for a disk drive that y'all barely can even use with Xbox games. I think on a principle level that is wrong because they're not even selling you physical anymore. Look, guys, all I'm saying is regardless if you're on the side of physical versus digital, rather you think that it doesn't matter, man, we're all going digital anyway, just get with the times, all that stuff, regardless of how you feel about it. I can still buy a vinyl and play it on a record player today. The overall point is that we need options. Physical games are still selling in the tens of millions. Tens. Mario Kart, Zelda, physical, all on cart, tens of millions. You might say that's just Nintendo. Plenty of third-party games, physical, all on disc, no online required. Doesn't need a day one patch. It may have a day one patch, but the day one patch is not needed to run the game. The game will be beaten without the day one patch. Millions of copies sold. And to drive my point home even further, you might be saying, since we're all going digital, since you guys love that so much, and there's nothing wrong with it, because I like digital too, you might be wondering, you probably questioned this. If we're all going digital anyway, why do these companies even put stuff in the store, the physical store? Why is GameStop even in business anymore? Let me tell you why. Let me inform something to you. I know so many people may be connected to the internet, but not everyone is informed of everything. The average gamer is a casual gamer, and the average gamer still goes out to stores. Yes, we still leave the house and go places. So let me explain to you how this works. Let's say you're a casual gamer or you're someone that doesn't even game. You could be at a Walmart, or maybe you just feel like going into a GameStop one day. Maybe you're going there for someone else. Maybe you're buying a gift and you see a game that looks cool on the shelf. This game looks cool. You don't even know what it is. And you say, you know what? I want to try that. I want to play that. How much does this cost? What system do I need? I'll buy it. People still do that if you do not know. Not everyone's a hardcore gamer that goes on Google and researches the brand new Resident Evil and knows every intricate detail about it before it comes out. That's what we do. The average person still goes into a store, sees a game, says this looks fun, I want to try this. And guess what? If they still know to put games in the physical space, even though they're not selling you a disc, especially Microsoft, they give you a code in a box. The reason they're doing that is because they know people still go out and buy physical games. So when they know you're buying physical games but disrespect you by not giving you a physical game, they playing in your face. That's all I'm trying to tell you. They're playing in your face. They're not giving you a real physical game because they're trying to save money, even though this stuff ain't even all that expensive. And they secretly want you to eventually be digital only. Because think about it. If your first experience is going to a store, buying an empty box with a code in it, and it's digital, now you got the system, you realize, oh, all the digital games on here, you might think to never go back to the store again and not paying no attention. You think, oh, it's no reason, and they all digital anyway. Or if you think all the disc is just a key, why do it anyway? They're trying to trick you. And that's all I'm saying. But anyway, that's the end of this rant. Peace out, keep gaming, God bless. I'm just upset, man. Physical games, we're getting near the end, but Nintendo, at least with their own games, they're still going. Sony and even third party on PlayStation is still going physical strong. And the funny thing is, you know how many third party developers have came out and said, no, we still believe in physical media. We still believe giving the customer all the data on the physical disc or cartridge and selling it to them. And for those developers and publishers, you have my thanks. Peace out, keep gaming. Don't let them trick you. If you like all digital, that's fine. But all digital people should stick with the people who like physical, because at the end of the day, gamers should have options. Because one day, you might want physical media, and it won't be here because you were too busy trying to tell us that we were crazy. Peace out. God bless. I'm gone.